seen the fumble recover video now. When you guys went back and looked at it, what are your feelings now that officially indeed that kid's knee was down?
I mean, it's nothing you can do about it now. You know, it really hurt for our kids, you know, because they played lights out. We totally dominated that game. And it was one play, but I think it was a big play from a momentum standpoint. Just changed the whole momentum of the game. And momentum is so important in this game of football or any other sports. And I think that's what happened to our football team after that one. You know, it was unfortunate, and it hurt for our guys, but they played lights out and just got a bad break.
Have you talked to the Sun Belt at all? Have they contacted you?
Not yet. We've contacted them and way back to see, but again, like I said, it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, you'll like an apology, but it's not gonna make the outcome better. You know, but it is what it is. We just got.
You talk a lot about overcoming adversity, but talk about a play like that specifically, which obviously changed the complexion of the game and certainly swung the momentum in their favor. What can guys do to kind of overcome that? It's a unique situation.
You just got to come back and just play ball, you know, because it's just like we always tell our defensive back, when you get scored on, you got to forget about that play. There's nothing you can do about it, you know. And same thing as a team. When that happens, there's nothing you can do about it but continue to play ball, you know. And again, we're still learning as a young football team how to handle adversity, you know. And I think we're getting better as a team at dealing with it. You know, I just look at that ball game there, you know. Other times this year when we got down like that, no one wanted to respond. No one wanted to step up and make plays. And now when we get in a situation, we have guys that want to, and we're putting ourselves in a position to still make a play and have a chance to win the ball game now. You know, so I think our guys are learning. You know, we just hadn't crossed the table yet just to get over that.
How frustrating is it to have that kind of situation, and ultimately, I mean, you know that the call was wrong, but you know there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating to lose that game, and it's frustrating to lose it and have something like that happen. You know, but a lot of people make mistakes. You know, you switch a mistake like that where you can review and correct that you get it right. You know, those type of mistakes don't happen. You know, not calling them pass interference and those things happen, but that's why there's the replay there, where you can make sure those type plays don't happen. That can affect the game, and it did. So it's frustrating from that standpoint. Again, the thing was really frustrating that our kids played lights out. We totally dominated that football game. And, you know, had an opportunity to get that win that we wanted at home for our seniors, and you know we didn't get it. And that's most of all the most frustrating thing. You know, just look at us. Football team is like three things that could be wrong with our football team right now. Either there's some kind of evil forces out there, or something pathological, you know, or something technical, you know. And if it's evil forces, then we let our team chapel do an exorcism and find out what's going on. You know, it's pathological. Maybe we inadvertently got the reverse Midas touch. Everything we touch turns to bleak. You know what I mean? And, you know, but really, to be honest with you, I think it's all technical. You're just looking at that ball game. You know, I know Bobby talked about it before that he dropped a touchdown pass that we could have had, and then 2 plays later we come back and we miss a throw on an open play to our tight end for another touchdown we could have had. And then we come back and run a reverse pass to the quarterback where the quarterback's wide open. Nobody's covering, and we don't throw it to them, you know, and we scramble and still get a first down and get a holding call, you know, and bring it back, and, you know, even when we're down, there at the end, we drove down to kick a field goal to win, and get it blocked, get extra point blocked, you know. It's all technical, all things that we can control, you know. To be honest with you, it's not evil forces, and it's not anything pathological. It's all technical things that we can control.
Coach, talk about the humility of Bobby Rainey for a little bit. He mentioned Saturday after the game, he rushes for 248 yards and 2 TDs, but he puts the loss on his shoulder. Mentioned back to that drop touchdown pass.
you say, that's Bobby Rainey. He's a team player. He put the team above himself, you know, and that's what a team player does, and that's what we're trying to teach our entire team, you know, to make them understand that it's much bigger than just one individual here, and that's how Bobby is. And, you know, I heard someone say, Bobby, you can't put that on yourself. You don't do that. You did enough, you know. And I told Bobby, no, you should put it on yourself. The kind of players I want on this team. You know, yeah, you did enough for ourselves, but you should want to make all the plays. You know, he was disappointed that he didn't make that play. Because Bobby want to make every play. You know, we need guys disappointed when they don't make plays and upset because that one play could be a difference in the ball game. We just need more guys like that. Again, it just speaks value for the kid and what he's all about.
Like we asked Bobby, I guess, from what you know about last year, obviously you weren't here, but from what you've heard about how it was, I guess, how do you see these guys responding differently to when things go bad? Some of these losses have been brutal, but in the way you hear, I guess, that they responded to those kind of things last year, what do you see as kind of some of the differences in how they're getting past them?
Well, like I said, I don't know exactly what went on last year. I just know it was a miserable year, which comes with a 0-12 year. I try to reflect on a lot of things, on how it was when we went out to Stanford. You know, because there's a lot of similarity when it comes to the mindset of these teenagers. And for our guys, you know, when you first got here, when things get tough, you see that no one wanted to respond, and you know, no one wanted to be the guy that messes up. You know, and now you see those guys change, and you see that attitude change every single game. And we've been in a lot of adverse situations this year, and it's funny because when I first got here, I told our football team, when I first got a job at our first meeting, I told them the problem that I see with this football team is one, guys are not doing the right things away from here, the little thing, the right way. And I didn't think this team handled adversity well. You know, when things get tough, we fold, we tuck our tails on our butt like a little dog, scary dog, and not look in his face and stand up to it and fight back. You know, we didn't do that. And I told them until we be able to do that, that's when we'll become a winning football team. And throughout the year, I mean, you see a lot of those guys reflect back to those bad ways. But as the year went on, we gotten better. You know, we dealt with it better. And these last, it's really come out these last two ball games where when we got down again, sideline's not quiet anymore. You know, you have more guys believing and saying we're going to win, and coach give me the ball, coach call this play, let's do this. You know, we're starting to get that from our young football team that we want. Wish we'd had it early in the year, but you know, it's good to see that it's coming out of our guys, and they're seeing that, you know, things can happen for us like we want to if we continue to look at adversity in his face and stand up to it.
How together is this team? I mean, is it, you know, pretty tight group?
Yeah, it is. I tell you, these kids have been unbelievable, and they've been great to coach, and it's been a joy because I really truly believe that this team is teaching us all a good learning lesson. You know, just not to give up. You know, no matter what, and stand in there, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they can be the ones that start. You know, because of the way our season went, the schedule that we had, especially when you start off 0-4 after you lost 12 games. I mean, we're teenagers that really can just turn you off, and you know, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. You know, from just a mental standpoint. But the guys overcame that and stuck together, and I really think they just saw the improvement every game. You know, we didn't see it in the win column, but we saw it as a team that we were constantly getting better. You know, every single game. It's only one game I felt like we didn't get better, and that was the North Texas game. And I don't know what football team was out there on the field that day. It wasn't our WKU football team. But those kids just being able to stick together and fight through it and not give up. And you always get concerned with guys giving up, having locker room lawyers, and you know, guys just changing on each other. And they haven't done that. And they stuck together and they kept believing. And then even now, I mean, guys are still in a good mood, and hey, we got to finish the season, you know. And it's great to hear like the senior, you know, those are guys that you really feel bad for, but they don't have a chance to continue to something they can do. And I told them all they're going to be the cornerstone of us rebuilding that football tradition, and they have been, and we made progress, and that's what it's all about, is progress and moving forward, moving up, and not, like I say, either getting better or you're getting worse, stay the same. And I thought our football team's gotten better, like I said, hadn't shown the win and loss, and that's what's frustrating, especially when we're in all these ball games, and we could easily be 5-1 in conference or whatever it is, and it's not. So that's the frustrating part. But like I told our guys, we're competitive, we're in it, and we got to get over that little hump. We got to win these ball games, but we're making the progress, and all the credit goes to those guys, the coaching staff, and our players just believing in one another and sticking together, and and just laying it on the line for themselves and this university. And our guys really want to get this thing going.
Do you allow yourself to think, what if a little bit? I mean, except for that North Texas game, you've been in every league game. You could potentially be going to Troy, battling for the Sun Belt title. I know that was your goal. Do you allow yourself to kind of think, dang, if we could just taking care of business, you could be playing for a bowl game?
I think that's just human nature. You're going to do that. That's going to come up. But then you also look at it, go back. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it but move forward, and try to make it better. Try to make the next game better than the last one. We constantly talk about that, and it's the truth. There's nothing you can do about it. Dwelling on it's not going to make it better. Crying and complaining is not going to make it better. No one's going to feel sorry for us. I told you before, no one's going to feel sorry about our parents. And we just got to go out and continue to try to get better. That's what it's all about, getting better. Just get better, and we do it. Those wins going to come, and we're right there. And we got to correct it, because I told our football team after the game, for me personally, the only frustrating thing is we're in our own road. We're in our way. We can get out of our way. We'll be fine. It's like these teams aren't beating us. We're beating ourselves. So once we decide to get out of our way, we're going to be a pretty darn good football team where we can compete for this Sun Belt championship.
Coach, talk about how important a win this weekend would mean. Obviously, it's been a season of ups and downs. How important is this win to kind of set the tone for next season?
It's important. It's the next game, and it's the last game, but also we can have us going to off season in a positive manner, with some momentum going to off season, going into recruiting, and then off season workout. It can be a big boost to our team going into next season. Especially against a team like Troy. He's the defending champion. And a really good football team. And if we can go out and get a victory on the road against a really good football team, it's going to speak value for where we're at and where we're going with our football team. Said day one, I like to build a bully here as a football team, because everyone loves them. And in order to build a bully, you got to beat a bully. And Troy's a bully in this conference. And we got an opportunity to go down there and try to do it again, this week. And tell you what, our guys will be fired up. We're going to have a great week of practice, and we're going to go out there and they're going to get our best.
Is that a program you try to imitate at all? Just because, they've been the top team in the Sun Belt for several years now. They're the ones always going to bowls, and they're usually the overwhelming favorite. I know you guys have made this jump in different ways, but at all, do you try to maybe follow what they've done to try to be successful?
No, we just follow the blueprint that we have, because I know it's the right blueprint. We're going to be successful. We're going to make it to where teams want to be like us and how we do it. From a winning standpoint, yeah, you want to win like they do and go to bowls, but we're not going to try to do it like anyone else, but the way we do it. And it's going to get there, because I truly believe what we're doing is working. We're in these games, and we just got to, correct some things and continue to get better, which we will.